committee. So we're going to go into the main agenda, which starts off with apologies for absence. I've got notes, apologies from Councillors Mary Jones and Sue Jones, and from Elizabeth Lee, one of our co-optees. Does anybody know of any other apology at all? No? Okay, thank you. Right, for the benefit of those who've joined the meeting online, I'm going to ask everyone in the room to introduce themselves so people can know who's here. So I'm going to start with myself, Councillor Peter Black on the chair, and I'm going to move to my left and go around. I'm going to go in a clockwise direction.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bridge Madderhill from the Council Scrutiny team.
Hello, I'm Sarah Lackenby. I'm Head of Digital and Customer Services.
Councillor Andrew Lewis, Joint Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Service Transformation.
Carol Morgan, Head of Housing and Public Health for Swansea Council.
Rosie Jackson, Housing Strategy and Development Manager in the Housing Service.
Jill Goddard, part of the More Homes team.
Dave Brotley, Programme Planning and Delivery Manager in Housing.
Peter May, Councillor Uplands Ward.
Lucy Friday, and I'm the Interim Head of Adult Services and Tackling Poverty.
Lee Cambouli, Tackling Poverty Service Manager.
Amy Hawkins, Interim Director of Social Services.
Councillor Wendy Lewis, Wenarlow Ward.
Good afternoon, Samantha Jenkins, Democratic Services Officer.
Hello, I'm Adrian Jeremiah, as Solicitor for the Council.
Lovely, thank you very much. We have quite a big agenda, and I can see a cast of thousands. So we will plough on with the agenda. So item 2 is disclosures of personal prejudicial interest. If anyone wants to speak now or forever hold your peace, okay. And also prohibition of whip votes and declaration of party whips. Anybody at all on either of those? No? Okay, thank you. In that case, we can move on to the minutes of the last meeting for accuracy. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. Are people content that those are accurate minutes? I'm taking silence as assent. Thank you very much indeed. And for those online, Councillor Rob Stewart has also joined us in the room. Thank you, Rob. Excellent. Okay, public question time. We've had no public questions, so I'm going straight on to the report on delivery of the corporate priority of tackling poverty and enabling communities. Councillor Rob Stewart is here and Alison Anthony is online. Which of you wish to kick this off? Alison, would you like to make a few remarks? We've read the report, so you don't need to read all 200 pages or whatever.
Thanks, Chair. No, I was about to say the same thing, really, that and I guess, you know, and I know you've submitted questions and everything, so thanks to everybody. And it, you know, I don't need to read the report, but I would like to thank everyone that's put a lot of work into pulling the report together amongst a very sort of busy time in trying to tackle poverty. You know, we, even from when the last report to now, you know, we know things have got worse. You can see the figures within the report. You know, it just, if you think of what we've been trying to do within the council to try and alleviate some of the worst conditions out there for families, you know, we're coming up to a very hard time of year for many now, where poverty will be very obvious amongst people. And, you know, we've just put out over £600,000 worth of grants and help for people, and we've been doing that in every way we can throughout the year as well. You know, and you can see in the report even the figures of, you know, what's recommended for a single person and what's recommended for a family. Is high figures, you know, that we need in to be bringing in high money, that we need to be able to bring in to survive. And you know, as I'm sure you'll have the questions answered now, you know, there's going to be lots of people in Swansea that are not earning those figures, you know. And even then it's only black and white, isn't it? Because if you've got childcare costs on top, or, you know, all the sort of added things that come with it, we've got many families out there, not just families, you know, many people out there struggling. And I think that, you know, we take our roles really seriously here. And we've really tried to go right back with the Poverty Truth Commission and really hear from people who have really experienced poverty and how we can look to try and improve services to meet those needs. And the good thing about this team and about everybody here right across the council, we take it very seriously and we work together very closely. And that's from Revs and Bens, welfare rights, social services, housing, everybody. Nobody just leaves it to the one team to say, you got to get on with it. And I've just come from a meeting now where we've been looking at the grants that have just gone out over the last week and the work that's gone in to deliver it. I'm really, really proud. So we're here today and we'll answer your questions and give you honest accounts, but I just wanted to thank everybody. Really, it's an in-depth report. You can see what we're planning for the next few years and where we've come from to where we are. Hopefully you've learnt a lot from it, and I'm sure you'll have some interesting questions now as we go forward.
Thank you, Alison. Just before we start, can I ask all the councillors who are online to keep their cameras on, please, so we can see you? That is in standing order, so could you put cameras on? And also, I should have mentioned that, that Alison and Rob are supported by Amy Hawkins, Lucy Friday, and Lee Campbell, who introduced themselves earlier on. So I'm just going to go to the first question. We noted, I think, last time when we talked about the definition of poverty, particularly in terms of income, at that time it was 29,500, and we talk about anybody earning less than that as a single person would be considered possibly to be in poverty, and £69,400 this year. But this year we're talking now 28,000, so there seems to be £1,500 difference, which just seems counterintuitive. I assume that is to do with a general fall in the average income generally in this area. Could someone want to add comment on that? Yeah, sure.
Happy to, Chair. Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's two parts to this. First of all, in September, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation published a report about the minimum income standard, and they explained that this year they've actually kind of rebased their calculations for the way that they work out the minimum income standard. So their new definitions of a budget in terms of a basket of goods, as they describe, is slightly different. And it's the first time they've done that since 2008. So I think that has just slightly shifted some of the expectations. So that's definitely one part of it. The other part, as you said, there are a number of other factors that have influenced that. Things like the not just the inflation-linked increase in benefits, some of the bills that have been introduced. So when they published this report, I think it just slightly rebalanced the numbers a little bit. However, the anecdotal evidence they included in that was saying that when they did this analysis and they talked to people to come up with these calculations, they were still getting a lot of feedback about people are struggling to meet those needs and to achieve that level in terms of the slight reduction. So yeah, in terms of it's clearly evidenced in the report that Joseph Rowntree Foundation have produced why that is slightly different, but it's not a million miles away either in terms of the projections that they've had and looking at how they've broken it down.
What sort of percentage do you think in Swansea would be below those two figures?
So this is a tricky one because the data that we've got kind of we've historically tried to measure it against the minimum income standard, and we've looked at different sources of data as well. So for instance, the Data Cymru dashboard that provides a bit more of a breakdown on a regional level shows that about 15% of households in Swansea are workless, which is not a direct translation. So we can take some of that and show a kind of a correlation, but it's hard for us to put a number on sort of like the number of households that are above or below that particular number. So it is difficult, but one of the things that we are doing to kind of rectify that is look at how we can improve the data that we've got and combine some of these things in a way that will tell us more of that story. So one of the things that we're developing is a data framework that will help us put all of these pieces together and give us a bit more information. So that's still a work in progress, but it hopefully should get us closer to that answer, Chair.
I think we're going to talk about the strategy, which I think may well still be under development as we speak. But how close do we have a clearer definition of poverty? I think last time we looked at this, we were still working towards that, I think is the best way of putting it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not hogging the microphone, I hope. But
Please do.
yeah, absolutely. The work we did this time last year was starting to collate insight from the general public and from people about what they thought about our current definition from the version of the strategy we published in 2017. Since then, what we've done is we've done a bit more engagement work. We've taken that definition through our internal governance in terms of our Council Poverty Forum, our Neighbouring Communities Group and others. And we've actually developed a revised statement that is in the refresh strategy, that the draft of which will be very soon coming out. And we're very happy to kind of bring that back to Scrutiny to go through that in a little bit more detail. So it has been developed and it has gone through a degree of engagement with others, including members of the public. The one-stop information shop, we took a definition out there and we showed it to people and we were trying to get a bit of feedback. But the real test will be when we take it through public consultation as well.
I think we're looking forward to that coming back to us. In this report, sections 6 and 7, they talk, one of the headings there is targets. And when I read through them, it seems to me more, not so much targets as an action plan. Yeah, I think we did say last time we're looking for some outcome focused measures. So I'm just wondering, given that I don't think that is what that is under the target thing, are you able to come up with things which are going to be able to carry out a proper assessment of what you do? Because reading through the whole policy, it seems to me we're not so much tackling poverty as alleviating it. And I think that's quite important in terms of what we understand what we're trying to do.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and it's an important distinction actually, because I think it is right to say a lot of our activities are coming, if you like, from the ground up, and we're doing a lot of things very much in response to the needs of our people and communities, whereas a lot of our targets and our strategy setting is coming from the top down. Just in January, when Welsh Government published the child poverty strategy for Wales, for instance, and they set a number of priorities in that. But give you an example of how I'm planning to kind of address it. So in the strategy that Welsh Government published, one of the objectives is around entitlement, as in putting more money in people's pockets. Whereas in my service area, for instance, we provide support to get more people into work. What we don't necessarily do is connect the two to say, as a result of getting more people into work, is that equating to more money in people's pockets and a better outcome? So the performance framework that we're developing is going to make us connect those dots in the middle, and we'll be able to show a measurable difference from some of the services and the initiatives we're doing, if you like, at the ground level, to achieving some of those strategies and targets and policies at the top level. So that's how it's all going to fit together.
I have the same issue with Welsh Government in terms of alleviating versus tackling poverty, but I think it'd be useful to have some higher measures, you know, for example, numbers of people who have moved in terms of income or the same. So obviously that would be in the strategy, hopefully, when you come up. Okay, I'm going to let someone else have a go. So Mike White has got a question now. Mike.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you very much. My question is around step 6 and focus on early intervention, specifically around Flying Start and early years. Point 5.62 of the report, and obviously West Government's programme to make commitment to deliver a phased expansion of early years provision for all 2-year-olds. Under the phase that's coming in phase 2, which obviously states that investment of 26 million across Wales to deliver high quality childcare element Flying Start for 2-year-olds now between 23-24, which is already in, and 24-25. 2 points. My question is, do you have a sense of what that extra money means for Swansea in practice regarding expansion? How far will it go to support families and improve our early intervention and prevention efforts? And point B, my question, if you want to take it as well, what criteria will be used to prioritise the expansion of Flying Start, particularly as there is now entitlement to free school meals? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, happy to come back on that if my colleagues want to join in as well. So in terms of, we're still waiting for Welsh Government's confirmation of the funding that's going to be allocated to local authorities for the expansion. That being said, the plans that my colleagues have at the minute are developing to consider the childcare provision that is available. So what they're looking to do is deliver a further plan of rollout and work with the sector to maximise those opportunities to support children and families. basically means that they're going to look to make the best use of that money and try to build on the provision we've already got if the funding we get is available to allow us to do that. Yeah, so more information will come on that one, I'm sure. In terms of the second part of your question about the criteria, I did have to ask on that one, but definitely the criteria that we will be looking to apply will be in line with the Welsh Government guidelines. So it's around clear and consistent guidance to ensure that local authorities have the information and direction needed to inform expansion plans. So this will cover a range of things like maximising child development outcomes, addressing inequalities, alleviating some of the impacts of deprivation, obviously, so hence it comes into the poverty space, more support for Welsh medium providers, and addressing the gaps in the availability of provision. So there's a number of different criteria that we'll be using to assess how we use that provision.
Mike, you want to follow up or you happy?
Yes, please, Chair. Yeah, I know, because I know, especially within my area, we have some schools that got Flying Start, and other schools then haven't got it because of the way that the boundary was put together, which penalised